Beta-alanine, is it a bunch of BS? Welcome back to part 5 of our supplement education series where we look at supplements and supplement ingredients, some claims out there about them, and we see what the research literature has to say about it. Muscle fatigue fighter. Muscular endurance, assuming they mean increases muscular endurance. Enables harder training, reduces fatigue, enhances strength performance, aids lean mass gains. Assists muscular performance, lactic acid buffer. Lactic acid does not exist in the human body. Starting things off, we have a 4-week study in young, trained men. Basically, they either took 6.4 grams a day of beta-alanine or a placebo, and they just continued their regular training plan that they were already doing. A few different strength tests here, a 1-rep max on Smith bench and leg press, a percentage-based isometric test fatigue, basically how long can you hold a contraction at a certain percentage, isokinetics on a dynamometer, and an absolutely brutal 8 sets to failure at 70% 1-rep max, 2 minutes rest in between sets on leg press and Smith bench. We saw no difference between placebo or beta-alanine on any measure except for time to fatigue on that submaximal isometric test. Similar study here, 8 weeks of either 6.4 grams a day of beta-alanine or placebo in trained men. Everybody here did the same training protocol 4 days a week, tested 1-rep max in bench and squat as well as a 60% reps to failure, and they measured muscle thickness using ultrasound of the biceps, triceps, and vastus lateralis. Everyone was supposed to continue their normal diet. They used a couple 24-hour food recalls to try and control for that. Better than nothing, but definitely not a great option. In this study, we saw improvements across the board, but no differences in improvements between those who took beta-alanine and placebo in strength, endurance, or size. Speaking of size, this meta-analysis from less than a month ago looked at every randomized controlled trial out there on beta-alanine supplementation, which included some sort of body composition measure. And they found no effect on any body count measures, including fat-free mass, body fat percentage, fat mass, etc. A lot of those claims were about endurance and fighting fatigue, so what happens if we induce a ton of fatigue? Here we have 4 weeks of trained men taking either 6.4 grams of beta-alanine again, or a placebo. During those 4 weeks, they were doing a 4-day-a-week split training to failure the whole time. And the measure we're looking at here is before and after those 4 weeks, they had these people do a 5-kilometer intermittent run. Basically run for a minute at your VO2 max velocity, which is very difficult, and then rest for a minute, run for a minute, rest for a minute for about 23 rounds, which is brutal. So you induce all this fatigue in the lower body, take a 10-minute rest, and then go do 4 sets of leg press to failure with 2 minutes rest in between. And if beta-alanine improved endurance or mitigated fatigue, we should see more reps in the leg press to failure after that very fatiguing run in those who took beta-alanine. But we saw no differences between the groups. Not really, besides that one isometric test. Again, not really. Again, not really, except for that one test. Again, not really, and I cannot believe this is even on a label. Also, you may feel tingly, but there's no real health risks. It makes sense mechanistically. It increases carnosine, which is a hydrogen buffer. But we just don't see the results in the literature, so we gotta say it's mostly BS.